Happy Friday. Another wild week in the markets, and it's as if we're on a never ending roller coaster. As we kick off this Friday, unfortunately, mortgage rates are up 6.97 as we open market this morning, up from last week 6.63. And many are asking, hey, with inflation dropping yesterday, why aren't we seeing a decline in mortgage interest rates? Well, if you've been watching my updates this week, the answer is pretty simple, and it comes down to uncertainty. So this week, let's dive into breaking down the all important consumer price index report, implement the impact from tariffs, and ultimately where we see this going and what we can be doing right now to ensure that our buyers and sellers are set up for success. So let's jump into it. Typically, in a week like this, with CPI, Consumer Price Index report, we would see markets rallying in our favor, especially with the fact that we saw both core and headline drop to some of the lowest levels we've seen in the better part of 3 years. And it's unfortunately as if the markets have shrugged this information off. And it comes down to this information. The release of Consumer Price Index report was for March, which was before the impact of tariffs had been felt, really before any of these announcements we saw this week. So the market is a little uncertain is where, yes, we saw improvement in inflation last month. The concern is, what does this mean going forward? Markets, bonds, treasuries, you name it, is forward looking. What impact will this carry to the bottom line going forward, specifically to tariffs? So, where yes, we had a win with inflation this week, the unfortunate aspect is with all the tariff drama, that win was ultimately muted. So tariffs, yes, as we know, it has been a whipsaw, roller coaster, whatever you want to call it at this point. Tariffs have taken over the narratives, and ultimately we've seen that in markets. And if you've looked at any of my updates from earlier this week, it has been, hey, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, and really it just reiterates the component around uncertainty. Uncertainty has taken over the market narrative as really no one understands what the true impact will carry over to our overall financial markets, which in turn, markets like certainty, and in uncertain times, we see this massive sell off. So ultimately, where we see this going from here, until we have a very clear picture of understanding the impact of these tariffs, what it means to inflation, what it means to the cost of goods, and everything in between, we're going to unfortunately continue to see this whipsaw effect. Now, how can we deploy this to our buyers and sellers to ensure success? So, housing, as we know, housing still remains incredibly tight from an inventory standpoint, and demand is still there. So, where yes, we have been dealing with elevated interest rates for the better part of 3 years now, and we have still managed to see success in new contracts, new closings, you name it. This is now the opportunity to continue to forge forward, have a very, very structured plan, working with professionals like ourselves to ensure that our clients are kind of muting the noise and focusing on the greater task at hand. As always, if you're running into challenges with communicating any of this messaging to your clients, know we're here to support you. Do not hesitate to reach out. And as always, let's make it a fantastic Friday and an even greater weekend.